As Phase 3 of the Hunter exam begins and we're introduced to the Trick Tower, I just can't help but smile because this is so fun and enjoyable.
Hunter x Hunter Episode 8, Solution is Majority Rules?
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Hunter Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and tantalizing episodic test-driven tale of Hunter x Hunter 2011. Our last episode really saw some character development, and really we got some background into Killua, but ultimately it served as a bridge between the Phase 2 and Phase 3 of the exams. The airship is, we were left with, the airship being on its way to the Phase 3 exam. So that's where things left off, and that's right where we pick up. It is, of course, the next morning. Gon wakes up and looks outside and sees that, that they're approaching this massive tower. It's like this mountain, this tall-like mountain, with this, like, cylindrical tower that looks like it's probably a half-mile tall on top of the peak-like mountain, almost the plateau-like mountain, right? So they all get dropped off there. The 42 remaining contestants get dropped off at the top of this thing, and Beans, if you remember, that's the chairman's little cool looking glowworm sidekick fella. He explains to them. He says, "Listen, you'll have 72 hours. This is Phase 3 of the exam. This is called the Trick Tower. You're gonna have 72 hours to reach the base of the tower, right? And simple as that, right? So good luck." And he takes off. So you get this one rock climber dude that's like, "I'll just climb down the sheer side of this. I'm a rock climber." And he gets about 30 or 40 feet down, man, and all of a sudden some monstrous flying beast comes by, a couple of them, and winds up getting his ass and eating him. So now we're down to 41 contestants, just like that. So everybody figures out after that obviously climbing down the side of the tower is not the way to go. Being the Trick Tower, I think this is great. Just what I saw in this episode so far, and I watch an episode and then I record the review, so I haven't watched ahead. But man, is this awesome. I like puzzles and tricks and things like this, and then on top of it, the mind games and the tests are just great. So nonetheless, we wind up finding it's been a couple hours now, and everybody's kind of searching around. Some of the contestants have disappeared, presumably, obviously found their way inside this Trick Tower, we're assuming, and started to make their way down, I guess. So anyway, Gon and Killua call over Leario and Kurapika and explain that, listen, they found these different doors, these kind of trap doors, but they're like one-use doors. They saw somebody go through one, and then they went over and checked, and that one won't open any longer. So they all decide that they're going to go on these different doors, and they go and they got to do this long, drawn-out, like heartfelt goodbye. Hopefully we'll meet back up at some point, and they all go and kind of count down 3, 2, 1, or what have you, and hit the hidden buttons. Because like I said, they're on the top of this, a half a mile up on the top of this cylindrical, like, tower, right? With no windows, no nothing, And as it turns out, I guess it's like a prison or something, too. At least that's what we wind up finding out later on, or a few minutes later. But so they all wind up doing this heartfelt goodbye. Then they go and they drop down, and they all drop down into the same damn room. Now, they find out that whatever room that they're in, it's actually called Majority Rule. And so they wind up finding out that's why you're introduced to this warden, Lippo, I think his name is. And he kind of comes over the loudspeaker and explains, you got the 72 hours to get through here, but you've taken the path of Majority Rule. You can't even start until you get a 5th person that drops in. And then they wear these like wristwatch type things, and they basically have to go and make choices of where they're going to go for different paths through this tower. And the majority rules. Obviously, you've got an odd number of people, so if you have 3 votes left, you'll go left instead of right. So it's very cool stuff. They wind up waiting for a couple hours. Leario's kind of a hothead, and he's getting a little pissed off. And the next thing you know, man, all of a sudden, that fucking pig Tampa drops in, man. The rookie crusher, right? So he drops in, and now they can get started. And you see them go through a couple series of choices where they have to choose one way or another and everything else. And it's really kind of clever the way they explain some of the different things. There's a point where they can choose left or right, and they wind up going right. And then it's kind of explained by Kurapika that typically when people are lost, they usually go left. So the majority of them wound up choosing right, thinking that that would be going against the grain of the mentality of obviously, whoever it is that sets up these tests and stuff, right? So anyway, they wind up coming upon this area where it's kind of cool because it's just a complete sheer drop-off, right? And there's an entrance on the other side of this like opening that they're in, and then there's like a platform in the middle. And these two platforms, two thin platforms, come out to connect, and they wind up finding out from the warden that basically these prisoners that are in here, they're in shackles, and they're allowed to come at people. They're going to be these one-on-one battles, right? And the majority rules. If they can win 3 battles out of the 5, they can move on. But the prisoners, they have these, the deal for them is for every hour longer they can keep you stalled here out of the 72 hours, they get 1 year taken off of their prison sentence, right? So you take mass murderers and people that are in for life and double life and everything else and tell them, hey, you just got to hold these people here. Fuck, they're going to be motivated, right? So, it's just a fantastic way of just playing a mind game on both sides, because the prisoners, now they're motivated, right? You know what I mean? Fuck, I got a 70-year sentence. I might be able to get out today, you know? So they're going to fight as hard as they can. So, nonetheless, the first guy that comes up, Bendo, I think his name is this huge hulking-looking, like, Marine type of guy. Looks like some kind of Army ex-Special Forces or whatever. And Tompa volunteers to go first. And they're all like, what? But Tompa brings up a good point. He's like, listen, if it's tied 2-2, nobody trusts me. You guys are all kind of close and together in your little clique. You don't want me being the tiebreaker, right? So I'll go in and I'll kind of, assess the weaknesses and everything else and whatnot. But it's one-on-one fights, So he comes in there. He comes in, and the guy goes to come in, and it's funny because you see both of them kind of like rage up, and like fire comes around. The animation's beautiful, and they're both looking like they're just gonna go to it. And I'm like, oh, maybe Tompa's got some hops or something in him. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve, right? And this guy, this big, bald, hulking Marine-looking dude, is like in mid-form to come through and just like annihilate him. And he's like, I give up, I give up. Because if you give up, you lose the match or whatever, but then the guy obviously can't continue to pummel you. Tompa comes back over, and Liario's pissed, right? And he's shaking him, and he's like, and you do this shit on purpose. Tompa straight up comes out and says, yeah, that's what I do. I don't ever want to pass the test. I get my jollies off, okay? Instead of going and jerking off in the corner, I get my jollies off of actually just ruining people, just breaking people, you know what I mean? I'm a piece of shit, and I admit it. But the thing about it is that it was actually pretty cool, and Killua is the one that brought this up, as he goes, it's actually good that he gave in right away, even though we're down 1-0 already, right? Down 1 match. And I'm thinking, why the hell is it good, And then it was really cool. It's really thought-provoking how this comes up. This guy is like a trained special forces, probably some kind, they deduced he's probably some kind of like ex-Marine, whatever, right? So this guy knows he's a killing machine. The first thing he would have done was grab Tompa and crush his larynx. So his basically where his vocal cords are, so he couldn't go and give up vocally, right? And then he wouldn't have killed him because it was a fight to the death. That's what he proposed. He would have just pretty much tortured him and beaten him to use up the whole 72 hours, right? So, in a way, even though Tompa's a piece of shit and he's a liability to them, this is one of the few times that I can say it was actually good that he didn't, because if he would have stuck in there and just tried to stick it out for a couple rounds with this guy, he would have been in there and he would have cost them all their opportunity to advance in the exam, and this guy would have gotten 70 years off his sentence along with everybody else, or 72, whatever, how many hours were left that they were able to keep him there. So in a way, it was kind of like an ass-backwards genius move that he did, all in all, though, really, really cool stuff. The episode winds up ending shortly after that. We get Gon. He decides he's going to go up next, and I forget the name of the other person that comes up, but very, very feminine looking, and it's supposed to be some kind of serial bomber or something like that. That's what that person was in for, and they're going to kind of go toe to toe. And you got to imagine that it's like this squared out open room, and there's just like nothing but like this drop off that you can see nothing down into the darkness, right? And I don't know. I would have personally. Here's my question. Could you just toss Tompa off the edge, or then would you have to get rid of somebody else because it'd be a majority rule thing? Could you just like accidentally be like, oh, he slipped and fell, sorry, so... But it is really kind of cool the way they have it, because it's this platform that's in the middle, of it, and you got these two thin bridges, narrow bridges that come out to, so that combatants can get on this platform and fight or whatever. But really cool stuff, man. And just overall, I really like the mind games that are being played. I like this whole trick tower type of thing. Always loved that shit when I was a kid. Different stuff with mazes, stuff like in the movie Labyrinth, just to name something that came off the top of my head. But I'm sure there's many others, But nonetheless, though, very, very good episode, and that's how things wrap up over there, and I'm just really loving the series so far, and can't wait to watch the next one as soon as I'm done with this. So my episode question for you, though, is honestly, what are your thoughts so far on the Trick Tower, at least what we've seen so far of it, and I guess specifically this, win 3 matches to move on, or, if these guys stall you for every hour they stall you, they get obviously their, just thoughts on that, just the general breakdown of that whole test that they're in right now, I guess you would say, during Phase 3. So, as always, we appreciate you watching. Leave, comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
If you'd like to see more artwork like this, come and follow me over on Facebook and Twitter, okay?